Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this simple coach to coach interview. I do appreciate you taking the time. I apologize for my tardiness again, and I am knee deep in it, as I say, during the day. So do appreciate it, and looking forward to having another rookie willing to sit on the hot seat.
Yeah, excited. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Coach K at Central. Awesome to do an introduction, and I owe him, so I'll give him a shout out. But I will say, all of my questions are going to be about him, and so you can give me all the dirt, like that'll be that'll be the God, that is.
Yeah. I always tell people, because our schools are rivals, I always tell people that it'd be easier if I liked him less.
You know what? I will say, he's uniquely one of those few people where it's, you're like, you make it very hard not to like you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
there's
something personality-wise.
For sure. No, our schools aren't very different, honestly, in a lot of ways, and we're pretty close. So it's cool to have friendships along the way here.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It would be miserable if you didn't. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it would be miserable if you didn't. So, all right. So let's get cracking to it. Hey, I usually start with the rookies, especially. Could you just talk about your soccer journey? How did you end up or never left Simpson?
So I'm actually from Indianola, which is where Simpson's located, and I thought I knew I was going to play college soccer. I was on a good club team growing up in the Des Moines area here, and then did not want to go in town. I went on 17 college visits to try and not go to Simpson. It was just the school I connected with, and the coach I connected with, and the team I felt closest to, and so here I was, and so I played 4 years here on the men's team. Got to sit on the hiring committee with our current men's coach. So that was cool. I played 2 years for him. And then I graduated, went to Briar Cliff, which is an NAI school. About 3.5 hours from where we're at in Iowa. And I was there for 4 years as a graduate student and then assistant coach for both the men and women. Coached some high school through there as well. That was a ton of fun. Really loved coaching high school. And then my wife and I moved back. We were kind of ready to start our family and be here. And a year later, this job opened, and it was just kind of poetic timing. And was really excited to be back at my alma mater and be back in my hometown, right? And this is my community. We get to raise our kids right next to grandparents. And we get to do this where I wanted to do it. So really lucky. And then I just finished year 7, so I've been here. Gosh, it's just flying by.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. Maybe you could give me the recruit's answer. Like, why Simpson? Like, what? Especially for somebody who's been there. My experience, people who have been in the town where a school is located have this uncanny, I just don't want to go there, and we'll do, like you said, you go try look elsewhere, and then you go back to settling in Simpson. I'm just curious, why Simpson? What is it about Simpson?
I don't know exactly what it was for me as an 18-year-old. Honestly, may have just been a little bit of fear to be out on my own, truthfully, and so maybe there are reasons to stay closer. I had a grandparent that was sick that I thought maybe needing to be around was neat too, that I could be a part of that. But when I recruit people here, I think. And I think a lot of our small privates are similar in that we love the group of humans that get to do this, and not just in the athletics department, I think, but just around campus, the faculty and the staff, and it's a lot of people that are underpaid and overlooked or overworked, but they love what they do, and I think you can feel that.
Yeah.
It's and I liked the D, and I really liked and appreciate D3, and I appreciate it more after having been gone. I think that it was fun to be able after athletic scholarships and feel like, okay, in this moment, I maybe changed this person's life or family's outlook here, but there was a lot more that came with it. That was a challenge. I was able to build a program as a player and go from a place where we weren't strong and go through a coaching change and then kind of resurrected our group. And I was fond of that kind of gradual build, bring in a good recruiting class, work your butt off, get a little bit better, repeat and do it again. And I felt differently in the NAI. I felt like there were ways you could skip steps. And you could just overhaul your whole group much quicker. And it changed much quicker. And I just missed kind of that D3 build.
Yeah. That is it's the first time I heard that. Like how you, and I never gave it thought of it, that you could skip steps at where money is involved, right? Like
Yeah.
to overhaul the squad, and here at D3, you
And
don't have that
in a
luxury.
lot of ways, but it didn't match me, I didn't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would feel about that personally. Like I'm not sure I'm wired that way. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't compute. And I don't think
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe maybe you're just through viewing it through the D3 lens that I was. That you can feel when a program's building and there's this we've earned it and we're doing it and here's the next step, and I enjoy that. And then to have the next year, you feel like you move past somebody and you've got a chance to be better and you should be better, and then all of a sudden next year you're way behind again.
Yeah.
And it's just okay. What happened?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, and all the intangibles that go into that, right?
Right.
Let me ask you. I mean, 7 years. Like, how important is the? I'll just say culture, not generally, but the culture. Obviously, you've created or has sort of been created within your locker room. Like, how important is that to the success that you found at Simpson?
Yeah, I think super important and timely to have the conversation right now, because we're kind of going through, the way I've phrased it to our team is I think this is going to be our third era. This is a brand new era for Simpson women's soccer, and so we've got a really talented group returning, but it's a lot of young faces and a lot of new leaders, and we've got to decide what we want to keep culturally and what we want to move off of or add or change. I think it super matters, and I think it's hard to coach people that aren't wired similarly to all fall in line, and so I think it starts for us in the recruiting process. We're trying to be pretty particular about the type of player, type of personality we bring in, so that they're at least surrounded by people like themselves, or at least like-minded and have similar cultural values. We get here, it's not as big of a shock. They can just kind of unite and decide on what core values they want to, prioritize.
Yeah. I asked this of Coach Carter Poe at Case Western, because he sort of mentioned the same things around the mindset, the type of player you're bringing in, because he sounded like he's very big on bringing in the right player, right? Like the right players. What's the sort of thing you look at a player and being like, she could be a Simpson, she could be on the Simpson squad?
Yeah, so when I started, it was funny because I wanted to just like prioritize things that I think make sense. Everybody wants good teammates, everybody wants talented players, and there's a coach. He coaches Division II team, Augustana and Sioux Falls. And it was funny because he recruited several of my high school players, and I was like, hey, why these players? And he's like, hey, one of the big things for me is I want personalities on our team. I want to be able to go to practice and enjoy the group.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting way to think about it. I do want people that we want to be around. So I think that is kind of on our priority list, but Though I'll tell you the one thing I spend the most time looking for, and it seems really easy, but I think it's the hardest one to find, is I want girls that just truly love soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the junkies? Who are the girls, that when we're in our non-traditional season, they're the girls that can't, they want to knock on the door and ask me to open the garage so they can get balls out and get on the turf when we have a surprisingly warm day. They don't view the weights as where they're going to just go grind. They just want to be with their team. I just think D3 wise, we've got to get better at during these breaks. That I'm not with them, and the only way to do that is if they really love it. Otherwise, they're just not going to be motivated the same way.
Yeah, that was the other question that I was just thinking about. Like, it's easier to manage in season because you spend a lot of time with your players, right?
Right.
And I think there's a natural momentum when the team is together under the coach's leadership and whatnot. The off season must be tricky, I would think.
Yeah, and I think we're always trying to evolve and figure out what the best use of our time is. This year, we've got it was really great when they decoupled the spring dates, so that if you used a week, you used a day, you didn't burn a week. That was super helpful. But for us right now, we've got a center back who also plays basketball, who's a pretty special player, and then maybe our best player tore ACL 3 days before Game 1 last year. So we've decided to not really use any of our dates here in January, February. I want to get those two girls back.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
We want to maximize the amount of time they get to be with our team.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's interesting. Hey, can I ask you a little bit about leadership? Sort of what does that? How do you think about leadership? Not your leadership, but the leadership that you have on a team. I think I'm thinking like of all the things you have to be always looking at is the leadership that your players provide each other during the season.
Yeah, and I think even when they come in as first years, we had a girl commit last night, and I thought, man, she's going to be a great leader for us. Like I just think down the road, and so there's some things I think you see early on that you're like, okay, that's going to culturally fit who our team is, and most of them come in, they've been a high school captain or a club team captain, so it's not reality that they all get to be that at the college level, but. Sometimes you just see some different and unique leaders, and a lot of them are different. I think when we're building leaders, I want our leaders to be like the most passionate girls about our program. And maybe they're most talented, but maybe not. But they're the ones that are most passionate about it. And I think at a school like Simpson. We're not the University of Iowa where kids grow up and they buy gear and they get it for Christmas from their family. I've got to give them a reason to love this place. And then you get a sense after their first year and going into the second year, and you kind of see, okay, which girls truly love it. And those girls start to elevate to be leaders, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's our job to give them, why do they need to care the way I do?
Yeah.
They got to find their own way to it.
Right. It's hard to build continued success off of people who are not bought in or care about what they're doing. It's very, very hard. I say your roof becomes a good season here, good season there, down year, down, right? Like there's no... Because it's that kind of mentality drives you to always try to get better. Or at least that's my thinking. Let me ask you: has this popped up? Somebody tweeted something, and I just saw it, which is terrible. I know, or X'd, whatever. It's terrible.
Okay.
On the girls' side, it seems like, and this is a little bit off the field of Simpson, but maybe not. On the girls' side, there's a lot of movement now of players because of the whole roster restrictions
Yeah.
and whatnot. A lot of players are being de-rostered for whatever reason, and then
Yeah.
they're looking. Um, are you seeing any of that on your end? Whether it's through the transfer portal or players suddenly reaching out to you, like looking for a destination to play?
We don't get a lot to reach out to us directly about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of movement, and this is kind of the first year of the cycle of okay, we've
Yeah.
got the roster restrictions and the cuts, and um, my takeaway is somebody's going to win. Some D3 is going to really do well in
Yeah.
this, and there's going to be probably a handful of them that do really well in being able to recruit these transfers.
Yeah.
We've had a couple visits and didn't land anybody to come in at semester, which is the nature of recruiting.
Yeah.
But I also get the sense that maybe this first round was a lot of the Power Four school players looking for spots, and they can find spots at some mid majors, and then maybe the mid majors that might be a better bounce back fit for Simpsons level happens spring, April, May, June,
Yeah.
and so. They'll get to those the ones that left at semester. They'll get to programs, and
Yeah.
and there'll be girls there that went, okay, now my
Yeah.
my role is more challenging, and
Yeah.
and I expect there to be movement again, probably in April, May.
Yeah. So you're I don't want to say you're not tuned out of it, right? I know some coaches who are just like, if I haven't recruited them, seen that, whatever, like I'm not going to entertain. You're just waiting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I do think there's going to be
we're
this
trying to in the
bounce
mix.
down.
I
Yeah.
just don't think I'm doing a great job recruiting transfers.
Yeah.
No, and I think trying to find the right ones, right? Who do you feel like fits you? For us, it's going to be probably girls that want to be come back and be close to home. There's we've got a lot of girls in the Des Moines area that commit to different levels, and
Miss Des Moines.
that I think will be good in our league and good
Yeah.
in Division III and really succeed here.
I also think that there's this maybe a slow recognition that maybe the most important thing isn't. Maybe the most important thing is finding the place that you like and you being able to play. And you're not
Yeah.
some rostered, you're not number 28 on the roster. I think that's that's my sense at least. I don't know if that's accurate, but.
Yeah.
Where do you go to recruit? Like locations. I mean, are you strictly recruiting regionally, or do you go nationally? Do you have that? I don't want to say draw, but is that something that you can do, or it's worthwhile your time?
Yeah. We've started to do well here regionally, and that's a conversation, Coach, that I'm trying to figure out. I thought when we started the program, we had to recruit out of our backyard because we weren't a winning program, and girls that wanted to win weren't choosing us to stay local, and so we had to go find people that didn't know us. And then I feel like we've hit a level where, okay, we've got some players nearby that recognize that they can win and succeed and choose us that are here. And I think we're about to what that ceiling looks like, that, hey, we can be really good on a national stage, but we're probably not national favorites in this space with the competition level. There's too many mid-majors and small Division I's here that I think we would need to beat consistently in recruiting, that it's just going to be a tough pull to truly out recruit them every year, right?
Yeah.
We can maybe win on one or two kids, but not 20. And so then maybe we need to be a little bit more national based to make that jump into the how do we become a top 16 team regularly? I think we can right now be like a top 30 team regularly, and that's the crossroads we're at. Is what are we truly able to do budget wise? So our plan, and I have a 4-year-old and 9-month-old. It's been stay pretty close to home, and try and win with the girls here in the Midwest. And It's gone well, and I've enjoyed doing that. And then they're alums; they stay close and they stay connected, and they're proud of
Yeah.
their experience here. That's really rewarding too. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if trying to be a national champion and have that type of roster by saying, "Hey, we're the best team in the country." I
Yeah.
don't know if that's truly worth the energy that it would take to do that. Versus, hey, let's be a top 25-ish team. Really, really great experience, and the bracket breaks the right way, and we can meet WashU in an Elite Eight rather than a round of
Yeah.
32,
Yeah.
and play them a little tighter and win in PKs. Maybe we can kind of get through a few different ways.
That is really, really, really interesting. That is uh, to me. That's really interesting, right? Like I don't want to.
Yeah.
There is a path to becoming a national powerhouse. There, and it's a very for a coach, coaching staff, even the program. It can be difficult, right? Like the things that you
Right.
have to do and you compromise on, and when you have a family, it makes it even a little bit more challenging, right? But it's
Yeah, and I think
true.
you got to.
Go ahead.
There's. This is the first time in 7 years I've thought that way.
Uh huh.
We ran into a buzzsaw this year where
Yeah.
WashU was, and it's
Oh
like,
my God.
man, I don't
We
know
were
that we're really that
destined.
close to WashU, and I
Yeah.
thought we were pretty dang good.
Yeah.
But I don't know that, and then they go on a kind of tear for the rest of the year, and maybe not many were close to WashU. Maybe they were kind of just in a bracket by themselves, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said. It's pretty rewarding to be able to provide a really good experience for local players, succeed and have them be really proud than to chase the California kid that
Yeah.
we've had those that maybe transfer out at semester when the snow starts to hit that
Yeah.
really don't love it.
Yeah. 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 That's that.
That's a challenge when you start to go out of your region.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I think WashU is just at a different level from everybody, and
Yeah.
I thought I saw it last year.
Right.
But this year there was no doubt in my mind from day one. I was like, they're just. I think I had him ranked number one the whole year. Like I
Yeah.
didn't. They never moved because what I saw there was just different than everybody else's. So, but to your point, you're right. I don't think you need to aspire to be a national champion. I do think you could be a top 25 team. You meaning or generally
Sure, in
like
general,
be that
yeah.
approach,
Right.
and you get the right draw. You get you need a lot of factors even when you're the
You probably
top
have to win
team.
twice in penalty kicks.
Yep.
You may not be the best team each day. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's got to bounce your way a bit and stay
Yep.
healthy through.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. You have to be really good, and then there's only one that does it at the end.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Right? There's just so many
Exactly.
that were great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, last year, right? You could have said the same thing about Wash. You should have won it, and then here Cal Lutheran comes in, one banger of a goal, and it's done. It's
Right.
done, right? Like so.
Right.
Anyhow, sorry, I got off on a tangent there.
No, that's okay.
I am curious. Well, you've had a pretty, I'll just say rapid, path to success, culminating in this year. I think it seems like, man, you were on a really good tear, at a really high level. I'm just curious, like, what do you attribute that to? Like, what's your what's your secret sauce? I think a lot of people would like to get some of that.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I've lucked into some players.
Yeah.
Truthfully, we worked hard and we tried to
Yeah.
get good players and recruit them here. Our 3-time All-American chose our school because she wanted to play basketball and ended up doing both sports.
Wow.
And so we got gifted her. I still take a bit of credit for the last 2 years because she came back as a 5th year and a 6th year. And it's like, well, I had to recruit her back to our roster, both of those years. And so that's my joke with her is she always
Yeah.
jokes that I didn't recruit her out of high school and I didn't want her. And then my joke is, well, okay, I at least recruited you for the last 2.
Yeah.
And so I think she was a really special player, and and gave us a lot of opportunities. But if I look at my first 2 recruiting classes, we got the right culture girls, mixture between culture and talent players there early. We overachieved in year 2. I don't think we weren't a 10-4-5 team, but we won 10 games. Won some games we shouldn't, and that really set the foundation because the girls got addicted to what it felt like to be good and do well. And then there are some lessons we learned along the way, is that we felt like, okay, now we have a conference contender. Okay, that's on our roster, but we were still making decisions. In a week, there was this week, like 2021. Maybe 2022, we started to be similar talent level, I think, to where we are now. But we had a week where we played St. Kate's, Loras, Wartburg, and Central, and all 4 were regionally ranked, and we had to make some roster decisions on which girls to play in which games because we knew we needed the healthy one. We needed to stay healthy to win conference, and I look at teams that win at large bids, and that was the wake up, was like, maybe our top 11's this talented. Yeah. But to earn an at large bid, you have to have 25 that are this ready.
Very true.
You can't drop a game. You can't make roster decisions to be healthy for other games. You have to try and win each. And we weren't there in 21, 22, and I think we were deep enough in 23, 24, and that was the difference. I don't know that we were way better than we were in 2022, but we were capable of winning games early in our year, middle of the year, and late in the year, and that's what it takes to. It's so hard to get these at-large spots, and you can't drop games.
I've been doing these things on X where I just post some thoughts, and one of the ones that I posted was about the non-11, right? So the roster spots 12 through whatever. Yeah. To me, the success of a team isn't found. Obviously, you have to be good, but that doesn't dictate success. To me, it's that 12 through the rest of the roster, because I think that group drives how that top 11 or whatever number actually does. And with injuries and all that stuff, if you have that type of player and that doesn't get all the minutes, they step in, right? There's less of a gap between that player who starts and then that number 2 player comes in for him.
And just some weird things, like, okay, we started to be good in 21, 22, but when we subbed out at the end of the half, maybe we had momentum for 35 minutes and we lost it for 10. Well, when the starters come back on, it's not their job to just be good again. They have to recapture momentum. You know, and now the other team's got some momentum and they're playing with some gravitas. And so it's like, you don't have to just be better. You got to be much better to steal it back. And so it's okay when you could bring subs on at the end of the half that don't just hold the level, but they are dangerous. You don't lose the momentum, and you might catch another team when they're weaker and subbing. And those 2 things, I think, you're totally right. Player 15, 16, 17, huge. They really matter. Really matter.
Huge. I've seen some programs where, like, their starting 11 is by far, like, you're like, wow, really great. And then, right, they're caught in a conundrum. Do I ride my 11 through thick and thin all the way through in a season like division? You cannot. I'm sorry. Like, soccer gods have to be almost like performing daily miracles to get a kid, those kids, 11 kids, healthy throughout a season and not skip a beat. I think that's nearly impossible. That's why it's been my latest thing, is how important that roster is. Can I ask you this? And I never asked this before, so do you notice the seat is getting hotter?
Okay.
How do you manage those players, right? Because I would think you have a roster of 30 girls.
Yeah, right at 40.
40 who want to be the number 1. I want to be the starter. Have that. I've got to believe they all have that mentality. Otherwise, they're not the type of player I think that adds to the benefit. What I'm suggesting, but how do you manage those players and understanding that the minutes might not be there, but when the minutes do come, it's one, it's a golden opportunity, and two, they are extremely important.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of our job, I think.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's helpful when they're younger. If they're the younger player, then that's a bit more helpful because they see a natural progression. It's harder when they're the older player, and I think it's being in the boat with them a bit and saying, hey, it's a human emotion to struggle because you want this badly enough, and I want you to want it badly enough to then cheer for your teammate who's playing ahead of you. And I think you got to own it with them to sit in the room and say, hey, I'm on your team and I want you to succeed, but if I change the rules of what it means to get playing time, then it's unfair to everyone. Here's my evaluation, and you're all hitting the standard culturally. You're a good teammate, you work hard, you talk to your teammates positively, so you're all hitting that standard. Then talent is going to have to be the winner, and the moment talent's not the winner, and no one knows the pathway to play, and then we're going to have disaster. So, and I try and put it on me. You said, don't, if you're going to be frustrated with just me, you don't control your own playing time. Your teammates don't control their playing time. So it's my job to get hit with that kind of wave of criticism. And most of the girls, honestly, I had a girl on yesterday who is she plays quite a bit, but her teammate doesn't. And she said they were talking about over break that I have a hard job, and they're sympathetic to me about it. And said, not your guys' job. This is what I signed up for, and I love that you guys care enough that it hurts. That means we got the right kids here.
That's awesome, though, right? Like, that tells me...
I couldn't believe they had that conversation.
That's...
They did.
You know what? I don't know about... Well, I'm older, right? Like, and I see my kids. I'm just amazed at how much more mature the kids are in a lot of respects than I ever was. I ever was. Even to this day. But it is interesting that they see that. I would have never seen that or conceptually understood that. Like, hey, you're taking slings and arrows for whatever, because you have to manage this really complex roster and all these different people and personalities. That is got to be. I mean,
well, and I think you asked like a couple questions ago, like, what's the secret? The years that I felt most good, like coaching our group, and I thought this year was hard. This year hurt. This year was really hard to coach. We were really successful, but it wore me out. Were the years that we've had really, really good JV kids that were invested. And when I was lucky in my first recruiting class, I coached high school, and I brought a girl here from that high school. And she was a 4-year JV player, and she scored her first goal on her senior night, and it was so awesome. And she did totally. It was totally. I'm getting goosebumps talking about her, and it was just one of those girls that I look back on, like, we built this thing, and there were a lot of girls that started in that first recruiting class. I had 5 that came in and started as freshmen, and she never got the varsity time, but she was invested in the whole time. And her best friend was our 2-year captain. And I look at why were those teams fun to coach, and it was because of her. And I think I have another one in our program right now who's that way. And I told her I wanted to bring her into our office this spring. She's a sophomore, and I want her to meet with every recruit. She's going to write recruits letters, and she's going to take them on tours, and I just want her to talk to everybody. And she may never play a lot of varsity for us, but she's so in. She's so in, and it's I don't know how I got lucky to get her. I don't know how you find those kids, but she's awesome. A special person.
That's awesome. I get goosebumps hearing that, right? Because those those are the kids who are going to stick with you for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? Like their attachment is so strong that their soccer experience is going to connect them to you, to Simpson, to the rest of her teammates in a
Right.
way that somebody who's just coming in to play and right and is oblivious to all of those other things
That's the
will.
stuff I get most proud of and thankful for, and humbled that, hey, this is our job where these kids, they don't know each other, and they
Yeah,
come here because we find them,
yeah,
and then they find great friendships and
yeah,
relationships, and that's pretty rewarding.
yeah. All right, so let's shift over because I could go down these rabbit holes. And I
Yeah,
apologize.
it's all
My
right.
my yeah, I'm a little scatterbrained today, so I'm like really like man, that's really interesting. Um, and you brought up some great stuff, but I do want to talk about your season.
Okay.
So I always do this without prompting, so you tell me and start it. Somebody in an elevator says, "Hey, how did maybe a very long elevator ride if you
Yeah.
want?
Okay.
How did yeah, how did your season go? How do you think your season went?"
Yeah. Um, I feel like we got there. That's how I would characterize it. Is we felt like we were at the end of the day, we got as far as we were going to go, and that's pretty exciting. I had three girls come back with their COVID year of eligibility that had been special players for us,
Mm-hmm.
and their expectation was they wanted their best year of college soccer to happen, and that meant we had to to the national tournament, and we had to win at least a game.
Yeah.
And we'd only done that two other times in program history. And
Oh,
so,
in
like,
history.
okay,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
them to come back and
Mhm.
get their best year, then we have to be special.
Yeah.
And so I think I went into the year with pretty high expectations of delivering on that. And I think we forgot early that you're not a polished product day one, and you've got to earn it again. Even if you're talent, we returned 11 starters.
Yeah.
We felt like it was just rinse and repeat, and it wasn't. We had a lot of lessons to learn throughout the way, and by the end of the year, I think we were playing some pretty good soccer, and had a real chance to win a conference championship. And we got in the national tournament. I thought it was a tough draw, but we were excited to play lacrosse. They bounced us the year prior in kind of heartbreaking fashion, and so we felt like we could just be the better team and not need an upset to win day one, and then see what we could do against the number one team in the country on day two if we got there.
Was there was there a point in the season where you thought to yourself after wherever, like, oh, this could be special. Like this could be a year in which we're gonna hang our hat on.
Yeah, I think at all times, from the moment our season ended in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I think at all times we thought 2024 could be really incredible run for us.
Yeah.
I talked our All-American into coming back in April, so she
Uh-huh.
decided in April she was going to do a sixth year.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, it was like, okay, and I thought legitimately, I thought National Player of the Year was in her range of outcomes.
Really?
I really believe she probably could have been in the 30-ish goal scoring range,
Uh-huh.
if all clicked right, and if we had won the league, that means that we beat number 2 in the MPI Loris,
Mm-hmm.
and we probably go into the tournament ranked 14, 15, and I think if you make a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 and you've scored 30, 35 goals, you got a real chance at National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And I thought that was maybe where our ceiling and level could be. We get into preseason, and we have another really special player I mentioned earlier, who was firing on all cylinders, and here she is as a junior, and she's been playing 10 for us for her first 2 years, and I'm excited to put her at forward next to Cash, and then she tears her ACL 3 days before game one.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh my gosh.
and so still nobody outside of our program realizes how big of a loss that was. Our girls get it. Like
Yeah.
they're devastated. And there's 2 or 3 days of like we got to mourn this because what
Yeah.
does that
Yeah.
mean for our season? What is that? And it was like, okay, I think we can still be really good, but others have got to stay healthy and others have got to produce because she's been able to bail us out in moments that are tough.
Mm.
And she's not going to be with us, and we got to get over that, and somebody else has got to elevate. And
Yeah.
it's not just one player. She's the player that when you're down late, you move up to front to score, and when you're up late, you move and you drop her into the holding mid, and she locks
Yeah.
and organizes it.
Locks
So it's
in,
like
yeah.
we're going to need 4 players to carry this load.
Yeah.
And so then I think by the end of it, to have the season that we did, I just felt like there wasn't a large margin of error, and we threaded the needle, and we're really, I think, really, really proud. We're super proud of that lacrosse result. They've been the gold standard in our region for the last 3 or 4 years, and I think we played them really evenly and won in a fair way.
Yeah. Was Casey Nash is the forward? Your forward?
Yeah, Cassie Nash.
Cassie Nash. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just different. She was. She's not the cleanest soccer player, but she was an elite athlete at our level, she just she was.
And she can
special.
do it in front of the goal, right? Like she's right, like a knack.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't watch her enough. You know what I mean? Like I watched the folks that I picked for my.
And like a lot of goal scorers, they go through that time when they're firing on all cylinders and they're really feeling it.
Yeah.
And there was about a 7-game stretch in 2022. I don't know that she ever got to that level again, but it was wild what she was doing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that she was, averaging 2 goals a game in that stretch. It was she'd score in the first 4 minutes, and then she'd score in the 15th minute, and the game was over, and we could sub everybody out, and everybody stayed healthy, and it's like it just took, we were on pace rhythm-wise, and our subbing pattern was there, and the way she was scoring and timing that she was doing it, it was wild. And then she was always good the rest of the time, always dangerous. But that like 6-7 games was I'd never seen really anything like it.
Yeah. Love to hear that. I think that's really cool. Like maybe this. I don't want to ask that question because we're talking about your team and your season.
Okay.
What's the What's the? Was WashU the best team that you faced all year?
Yeah. They're the best team I've ever coached against.
Ever?
Yeah. They were. I thought we had a pretty dang good team, and I think we only had maybe 3 or 4 girls that could make their NCAA top 24 roster.
Really?
They were great.
I knew they were good. I always try. I don't know. It's not
and
right.
Loris has been incredible, right?
Yeah. I was going to ask you a little about Loris next.
But WashU felt like they were in a different category. And Carleton, we played Carleton the last couple years. They've been phenomenal. They've got they're really, really well coached and really, 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 really talented. But and lacrosse similarly, the four of us with St. Kate's have been kind of the top in the region for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But we're all pretty similar, I think.
Mm-hmm.
WashU feels different.
Yeah.
And I know lacrosse and WashU played to a 4-4 game last year in the Elite 8, and WashU got through on penalty kicks. So lacrosse really played even with them. And it's credit to what their program's been able to do. But this WashU team was just different.
Yeah. Just as a side note, I'm always it's this latest thing, and I don't know why, but I'm amazed at the quality of player and the quality of programs that come out of your region. Just in general, right? And sort of, there's a lot of great soccer going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And in Division III, right? I think I look. there's such quality. Even if you look at a conference, right, from top to bottom, there's
Yeah.
such great quality at any, whatever position you're in, and it's just hyper competitive. And and I see the Wisconsin schools, period, like all of them. I'm just kind of like, how do you get how much talent is there that you attract? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what's your pool like? Because holy smokes, you're all good, right? And obviously,
Yeah.
lacrosse and Eau Claire are two really good ones.
Lacrosse and Eau Claire are usually up there.
Yeah,
Platteville's really put their name in the
yeah,
mix here
yeah,
recently, and our league is really challenging.
yeah,
But I think that MIAC group,
yeah,
there's just no breaks in their league.
yeah,
Everybody's and they're going, play twice a week, and you're playing games that could beat you twice a week. Oh, one of our ties this year was Gustavus,
yeah,
and it hurt. We gave up a silly goal with like 5 minutes left, and we had we had like 20 shots in the second half, and just couldn't close the door.
yeah,
But they tied St. Olaf, who was like an NPI of 60, and St. Kate's, who was like an NPI of 45, and so it's like they just played spoiler
yeah,
all year. Gustavus did. And it's like that. That's their conference. Like you
yeah,
got to watch out for everybody.
yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, and on the men's side too. It's not just like handful. It's just amazing, just the quality that's sort of
Yeah.
spread around there. Which is, again, I don't know why I pretend to be so, or I am amazed by it, but I just don't see. I don't see that concentration regionally of players. Men's and women's. In such, again, and just sort of where you're located. I'm always amazed by that. Again, not sure I understand why, but
No, well, and then right here in like our footprint was Mankato, and they just were runners up on the D2 women's side.
oh yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah,
it's like that. I mean, that conference is real too, and we're recruiting against each other for all these girls.
hmm
But yeah, you're right. There's been real success in this area, which is good. It's good for our
yeah,
maybe the clubs have got something going. Club teams
yeah,
have got something going.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever have? Was there any point in the season where you sort of doubted?
Yeah, that Gustavus tie hurt. We
Like hurt just
it
psychologically?
it hurt psychologically. In the timing of it, when you give up a goal with 5 minutes left to tie a team that you feel like you're better than. And Cash had pulled her hamstring in the game prior, so we played her in the first 10 minutes of that game. She scored a goal. I subbed her out and I was like, okay, maybe that's too soon. So we're kind of like, okay, is she really hurt? If we lose Brissa and Cash, that's different
Yeah,
for our team.
yeah,
So we were worried then, and then we go up 3-0 the next day on Carleton, and end in a 3-3 tie, and the team also is kind of devastated. And I'm ecstatic because I realized how big important that 3-3 tie with Carleton's going to be
yeah,
at the end of the day. And we were out of gas, and when it was 2-3 and they were humming, we were holding on. In my head, I'm saying if we can get to the 10-minute mark, I know we can just allow one goal in the last 10 minutes. They
Yeah.
scored exactly at 10,
yeah,
and the 80th minute even, and it was one goal, and we held on. But so that weekend, we're not used to going 2 games without a win. That weekend was challenging, and then we had a couple seniors quit. That were not getting the playing time,
Right.
and they're people I really care about,
Yeah.
and our girls really care about, and so we had to come back and grieve the 2 results, and then
Yeah.
also
Deal with
grieve
that.
losing
Yeah.
3 players.
Yeah.
That was a tough week, so I was excited when we got the 3-2 win over Eau Claire because we were going through some team things right there.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good follow-up, though. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have a rough weekend, and then you go against Eau Claire.
Yeah.
And you pull off a win. I think another thing that we didn't talk about is good teams are resilient. You know what I mean? Like they deal with it and they move, like sort of deal with the things, and then game time rolls around and they somehow deliver. They
It
deliver
might
the
not be
result they
perfect.
need. It might not be perfect, but they
Right.
manage to deliver the the
you know, we
result.
gave up in that Eau Claire game, we gave up a goal with 42 seconds left, and it was the 3-2 final. And so then our team's upset again because here we go. Now this is another late goal that we've
Yeah.
allowed,
Yeah.
and I have to reframe it and go, hey, listen, we talked about how important that third
Yeah.
that you know to go up by 2 is.
Yeah.
Well, this is why it's important
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we just won this game despite a weird goal at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
And can we take that as at least a win for the day?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that goal Lena scored really matters.
Yeah.
That third one mattered.
Third one mattered. Yeah. Hey, cognizant of your time. Just really quick. Just 2 ending questions.
Okay.
What does your recruiting class look like for 2025? Is it done? That's the first one.
Okay. Yeah, we just got a big commit last night that I'm really excited about.
Nice.
I think I know, and it's late. We haven't.
And
had
they didn't
anybody-
even see a YouTube video with this famous influencer with you on it.
Yeah, nope. Not a done deal. She's got to pay the deposit next.
Yeah.
No, we're excited about her, but it's we haven't had a commit in 4 months. We've been pretty much done with the group for a while, and it's a good class. We're excited about it. It's gonna there's several defensive players I think can come in and impact us, and and then for us, I think we had a really good first year class this year that's gonna have gonna take a step forward and be pretty impactful. This was my first year that we didn't have a freshman start.
Wow.
And that was coming off of returning 11 starters, and bringing in 3 other transfers, and so I think from are we done yet? I'm looking at my board, so I keep looking up here. We've got 3 names on the board that are seniors. And then maybe a couple transfers that we don't know about yet, right? That I think open up in April, May. That we're just trying to stay prepared for.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we've got the group. We got the group that we think we're going to have.
So let me ask you. This is tea leaf stuff. So, and then there'll be my last question, because I know you got stuff going on. What's your thinking right now around 2025 season? Like, you had this successful year. You have some key graduates, and then
I'm really excited about it. I think there's a lot of energy in our group about it. What I've told them is I'm really excited to coach this team. I felt like we've managed our team for 2 years. We had this group ready to win, and how do we win games early? And I don't think we were taking a lot of risks coaching staff wise to maybe the detriment to our end of the year. Maybe we weren't as far along because we knew we wanted to kind of keep 2 doors open of an at-large spot, and I don't think that's the approach for this group. I think they feel a little bit more of an underdog mentality. Everybody has been waiting for Cassie Nash to graduate in our region, and she has. And I think that our team knows that everybody was ready for her to be gone, and they're hungry for their time.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's like I could totally see that. Like, oh, I can't wait until she's done. Like, you know, I don't have to deal with her on the
Laura's
field
had
anymore.
this 2 years ago. They graduated like 5 all-region players. 3 of them were All-Americans, and like I remember and I tell Coach Pucci this too, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. I wrote on the board preparing for their game, this player, their stats gone. This player, their stats gone.
Yeah.
And then they run back to a Sweet 16 the next year, and then this year another Sweet 16, and they've and so it's like, okay, it didn't matter who left.
Yeah.
It was
They
next
just
man
reload.
up there and Dubuque.
Reload.
I'm hoping that I think we'll learn. I think we'll have some lessons to learn. I don't think it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But I believe that at the end of the year, our ceiling is potentially higher.
Wow. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and we've got a leadership void too. I think outside of what Cash was able to do offensively, like we've had some special leaders graduate this year that were very, very good players in their own right. 4 of them were also all region players, and so we've got some holes to fill. and answers to solve this spring. But I'm excited to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll be watching. I confess I wasn't really tuned in to Simpson, and I apologize. I just
Hey, we were new on the scene.
So, and I'm disappointed in myself for not catching Casey a little bit more often to see what she was like. Yeah, I hate missing. I hate missing good special.
Playing.
She's where?
She's over in Rome. She joined that Rome City FC pathway where you get your masters and play for a year, kind of an amateur level.
Nice.
So she just left yesterday. So she's going to keep playing, which I'm excited for.
You have video. You have the games recorded, right? That I can get access.
Yeah,
to.
You know what I'll do? 2 years ago, because Mankato made a little presentation for. They had a girl that was going to go into the draft, and I was like, let's make something for Cash in case she wants to try. Yeah. So I've got. It's funny because in most highlight videos, you have 2 or 3 minutes of goals and then some assists.
Yeah.
I had 11 minutes of just goals.
Oh my gosh!
And so I had to throw out 4 minutes to make a still too long video that's 7 minutes long of just her scoring.
Yeah, I would love to.
I needed to show some assists and some other things happening.
Yeah,
but it's like she just scored that much.
That's all she does. Yeah,
I could have just put goals in. It's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Great. All right, Coach. Really do appreciate taking the time. This was wonderful. Really loved learning about your program and everything you're doing, and like I said, I'll be watching a little bit more closely. And thanks a lot again. Really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
No, and thanks for what you're doing for D3. It's and that's what Kobe and I were connecting over. Is a lot of us care really deeply, and the girls really, it's such a high level of soccer, and we appreciate you shining a light on it because there's so many good teams, so many good programs around the country that.
Great players.
To be a top
great
150
players.
MPI team means you're pretty dang special.
Yeah. I totally agree.
That it's just really impressive nationally what the D3 means, and I appreciate you shining a light on everybody.
Well, thank you. Thanks. We'll be in touch again, maybe before the season. We'll have you on. All right.
Okay. All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
Coach. See ya.